Bioweapons are biological agents such as viruses, bacteria, and fungi used offensively against enemy combatants or civilian populations. These weapons are invisible, uncontrollable, and if you're not vaccinated or don't have immediate treatment, unstoppable. On today's episode of the Infographic Show, we're talking about some of the world's most dangerous bioweapons. We're going to tell you what they are, how they work, and what'll happen if they're ever used on you. Grab your gas mask and hazmat suit. We're jumping in. Number 1. Botulinum toxin, also known informally as Botox. Botulinum toxin is extremely dangerous neurotoxic protein derived from the bacterium Clostridium botulinum in low oxygen conditions. Botulinum has been used as a medical treatment for conditions such as spasticity in the past, and is used to this day as a cosmetic treatment for wrinkles. However, if used in combat, botulinum toxin can be a horrifically potent biological weapon, seen by some as one of the most deadly substances known to man. What happens if botulinum toxin is weaponized and used against you? Being a neurotoxin, botulinum toxin blocks nerve cells from the brain, causing severe respiratory and muscle paralysis. Around 12 hours after contracting botulism, you're likely to experience fatigue, dizziness, vertigo, and blurred vision. Then you'll have difficulty swallowing and breathing. After that comes the severe vomiting, constipation, and diarrhea. And soon enough, you'll start to experience physical weakness, severe pain, and paralysis across the body. It's a slow and painful death if not diagnosed and treated early. Combatants can poison food sources with botulinum toxin or utilize it in its airborne form, wherein the time between contraction and displaying symptoms can take days, meaning you could be doomed before you even know. Yersinia pestis, the plague. Yersinia pestis is a bacterium that causes perhaps the most terrifying and iconic infectious disease of all time, the plague. Spread largely through the oriental rat flea and other small arthropods, the Yersinia pestis is a highly infectious disease. The two different varieties of the plague are bubonic, known for killing most of Europe in the 14th century, and pneumonic. The incubation period for this disease is a single day to a whole week, after which you begin to experience some truly nightmarish symptoms. In the bubonic plague, the lymph nodes in the armpit inflame and inflate, creating large, painful buboes that later fill with pus and develop agonizing open sores. In even more severe cases, the disease spreads to the lungs, causing the pneumonic plague. This version of the plague is significantly more infectious than the bubonic plague, and it typically can only be successfully treated if diagnosed within 24-hour incubation periods. Otherwise, a painful death is pretty much assured. Combatants capable of infecting people with a hardy strain of Yersinia pestis would truly be a force to be reckoned with. Number 7. Ebola virus. The other member of the filovirus family, Zaire Ebola virus, known colloquially as Ebola, is an incredibly dangerous and infectious virus from sub-Saharan Africa. Originating in animals such as apes and small primates, Ebola spreads from human to human through infected bodily fluids like blood, saliva, and feces. The virus has no cure and can only be treated symptomatically until it leaves the system. This is a grueling process, and if the medical professionals treating you aren't properly protected, their risk of infection is extremely high. Traces of the virus can also linger on objects for significantly longer than many other viruses. The symptoms of this virus are just as intimidating as its biological resilience. These symptoms are divided into dry and wet symptoms, progressing from one to the other as the disease worsens. Primary dry symptoms include fatigue, muscle pain, and a high fever. Dangerously, at this stage, it's often confused with influenza. The wet symptoms are considerably more dangerous and harder to treat: diarrhea, vomiting, and severe hemorrhaging. In some cases, it's been known to have as high as a 90% mortality rate, meaning if you contract Ebola, the odds would be extremely against you. If combatants utilized Ebola in a densely populated area, the results would likely be devastating.